Hello everyone, a new episode of your favorite program. Let's have a chat in the one and only Biladi FM 96.6 FM. I hope everyone is listening to me right now is having fun, enjoying their time, and I know for sure those days is actually very special days because everyone is actually busy with the World Cup. I know right now at this moment there is a game going on, but before just wait a second, don't change the frequency and listen to Biladi FM and listen to my program. It's just only like an hour, missing the other half of the, I think Belgium and Canada is going right now. The game is about to start. So just give me a chance to listen to me and then go back and watch the game. I will be a little bit selfish this week. But anyway, I hope that you enjoy your time and be positive, and I hope if the football is actually gonna help you build your positivity and feel better about your life, go ahead and watch the football match. But I will be missing you here in Bilad FM just to make you feel guilty. So for all the people who are listening to me right now, as we always and every week we try to go through a very challenging and challenges day, but as well we are trying as well to raise awareness in many issues that we don't understand and we don't know what is about. So today we are happy to have with us we say always that UN is the only flag that united us all. So we are always happy when we have guests from the UN. So today we are happy to have with us Mr. Atila Uras, Head of UN Environment in Sudan. So hello, Mr. Atila.
Hello, hi Marwa.
Nice to have you here in Biladi FM,
Big
and let's have a chat.
Thank you, big pleasure. Let's have a chat.
Yeah, so you're not missing the game, right?
Well,
I'm trying to make you feel guilty.
No, can we be a bit quick so that I can catch? No, this is just the first round. There will be so many games.
Yes, and we all, it's actually a very nice time. Everyone is actually tuning in and enjoying the game through radio, through TV, everyone, right?
Indeed, yes.
You could find it everywhere, and it's like an international language right now.
And it's wonderful for social gatherings too. I mean, there are so many people coming in one room and just, celebrating, cheering. So I had the first game with quite a crowd, and it was big fun.
Yes, and I'm glad that you had fun. So, Mr. Atila, to go deeper, first of all, before we know more about UN environment, we want to know more about you. So let us know.
I'm a big football fan. No, I'm not going to start like this. Yes,
okay.
Yes, my name is Atila Uras, and I'm the father of Defne and Deniz. I have 2 kids.
Mashallah.
I'm the husband and partners in crime with my wife, Aisha. And
we say to her hi as if she is listening to us right now.
And I'm the slave of 2 cats when I'm at home to feed them and clean them, Limon and Astra. And so I'm from Turkey.
Okay.
I'm from Ankara, Turkey. And I studied civil engineering, and my destiny, my fate brought me to the environment sector, if I can call it like this. I feel very privileged about it because for more than almost 25 years now I've been working on environmental issues, which is great, and I sincerely enjoy it. But I studied, as I said, civil engineering, and then ended up in coastal and marine engineering, which also made my ties with the nature, because as humans we have to live within an ecosystem with nature, and sometimes find ways of protecting ourselves from some of the natural processes. That's what, in fact, civil engineering was about. So that philosophy brought me the question, so why aren't you working on environmental issues? And then I found myself in a small NGO in Turkey, and then in a larger NGO, WWF, maybe the panda logo. And then in UN since 2006, I work in UNDP, in UNEP, in Turkey, in Greece.
So
now,
it's almost like
16 years, and almost 5.5 years of it is in Sudan.
It's amazing because myself, I study science and I specialized in advanced psychology. So I can understand the passion, and I can understand how important to go through this and to work for a cause like environment.
Indeed, yes, that is big satisfaction. It is not easy. But it is always, as you say, very passionate, and you always feel very lucky to find a chance to try to protect the environment, save the environment, and also save the planet.
And you know something, when I have episode like that, especially when I talk about environment, I feel less guilty about my specialty, because I feel like, okay, now I didn't do a career shift. Actually, I'm working in science, and I'm happy about it that I'm supporting actually the globe and doing something for the world.
Yeah, I mean, there are many ways of contributing to the work of environment, through communication, through radio programs, through policy work, through working with communities, through counting turtle eggs on the beach. So there are many different dimensions. So you are definitely contributing.
I'm glad to hear that. Now I feel less guilty. So, Mr. Atila, we're still talking about UN. So, what exactly UN environment? Like, because many people right now will ask, there is a mission called UN Environment in Sudan? Many people who are listening to us all around Sudan right now. So, if we are trying to like feed their curiosity and answer their questions, how you can explain to us UN Environment in Sudan?
Well, UN Environment is, I would say, a special agency of the United Nations system, which has the mandate of setting the global environmental agenda. But usually the work that UNEP does is very high-level advisory and normative. But when it comes to Sudan, we have the privilege of being a resident agency in the country since 2007. And it all started with the request of Sudanese government inviting UNEP to carry out a post-conflict assessment in 2005, and it took 2 years. A report came out, and that report paved the road for UNEP's presence in the country. Currently we have 2 offices, one in Khartoum and one in El Fasher. We are doing different levels of environmental work, like natural resources management. We work on water issues, we work on climate change adaptation. We are working with government authorities to improve policy and legislation related to environment. Sometimes what we do also contributes to peace building, contributes to conflict resolution, social coherence. So there are many different dimensions of it. But what we try to do is we work with many different stakeholders, from the communities, villages in Darfur, to the ministries in Khartoum, from the donor communities, international let's say organizations, to regional organizations or Africa level organizations, to put Sudan in the agenda, to help Sudanese people to cope with the challenges that they are facing related with environment, because it's very important. We will talk about it, why environment is important in Sudan. Yes. But we are trying to stay relevant and make sure that environment is an integrated part of the efforts of Sudan for a good, sustainable development for the future generations. So these are, of course, very generic words, but I think when we get into the details of what we try to do, the picture will get clearer.
Yes, and I agree with you, because you mentioned something that actually very important, which how we connect all people together in order to talk about the cause, or maybe to compact something, or maybe to do something in order to develop. But now when it comes to environment, it's not just about Sudan. It's how we connect Sudan to the world. And it's actually very important for Sudan itself, because when we are fully aware of what the situation is and how we can be a positive contribution, it's actually very good for Sudan.
True. So, yes. Maybe I should go back to the time when I arrived in Sudan and what I started before coming, what I started reading and learning about Sudan. Because when I received this job offer, it was 2017. And I had to read lots of reports, etc. Then I had also a chance to read this fantastic book of Tayyip Saleh, The Migration to North.
Yes,
which
it's
is
very famous.
Many
languages, yes.
Including Turkish. And, my sister is translating books, and she read many books, she translated many books. She said this is one of the most unbelievable books that she has ever read. So then I started reading it. You start understanding the culture, the challenges, the beauty of the Nile, and there are so many aspects of it. And then when I arrived, I looked at the map and I realized how large the country is. It's giant.
Yes.
And it's diverse also. Then when you look at the Nile and you have, being in Khartoum, you see how the White Nile and Blue Nile connect and create the Greater Nile.
Yes, it's a miracle.
And thousands of years, it's been a source for many civilizations, for the livelihoods of people, for the existence of people in this harsh environment. You become really very impressed and want to dig even more. And then you start seeing the diverse culture from the Red Sea to Darfur, or from north to Blue Nile.
Yes,
it's so diverse, and this diversity also reflects in still challenging environment, but diversity of the environment as well. And that environment is the source of the livelihoods of people, source for the food of people, and also for many other species. We received, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, a photograph of an elephant from Dinder National Park.
Wow.
And then I heard that in Radom there used to be giraffes.
Yes, and I'm glad that there is elephant now in the Dinder National Park, because when I was studying that, I knew that the last elephant was seen in the 90s or the 80s, so they are coming back,
still
right?
Coming back, so it's just a matter of, protecting these areas in the best possible way. Sudan is an important bird migration route for many birds, and
and we have a huge diversity of birds here in Sudan.
Yes, indeed. And I know now in Khartoum, when I see a black stork, I know the rain is coming, for example. So the wildlife, the environment is very much linked with indigenous knowledge, with the kind of life that people are living. The pastoralists are following the rain. So it's really merged with the diversity of the culture, what Sudan has.
It's beautiful. And we always say something that Sudan have many potential that not fully realized yet.
True. Yes, definitely. And just also to mention, being a marine and sea person, of course, the Red Sea coast of Sudan is unbelievable.
Yes.
It's 700 kilometers of pristine coral reefs. These two wonderful national parks, the Dungonab and Mukawar Island and the Sanganeb Atoll, are heritages to the world.
I have about 135 guests coming to this show, but like about 70% mentioned the coral reefs and Sanganeb. Whoever, like 70% of the guests, they have to say that in the final segment, or say something about those coral reefs area and how it's heaven and how it's beautiful.
And of course, one thing is looking from outside to the atoll and the lighthouse, but when you know that there are still dugongs, manatees, one of the most, I would say, critical populations still living in Mukawar Island. So these are wonderful things. Best of the shark migration routes, manta rays, all the seabirds. So these are beauties that every Sudanese person to be proud of.
And you make me right now fall in love with my country again. And thank you so much for mentioning all of this. But let's go for the first break. And when we come back, we're still having this fantastic conversation. So let's go for the first break. So we are back again after this break of beautiful song, and again, I know you're watching the game, but stop and watch Biladi FM just for a while. Don't change the frequency. It's only 30 minutes, just be patient. Again, I'm your host Marwa Khalid, and if you just joined us in Biladi FM and Let's Have a Chat, we are happy to have with us this week UN Head of UN Environment in Sudan, Mr. Atila Uras, and we are speaking about different subjects related to environment and how we could tackle issues like threats related to environment. So Mr. Atila, again, we are happy to have you in the program and in Let's Have a Chat. And we are still talking about UN environment mission in Sudan. So if we want to know more, this is the mission in general. So if we want to go deeper and ask about the activities right now, or maybe the action that's happening right now in Sudan.
Yes, very, very briefly, let me explain you. We have so far currently let's say a small portfolio, which used to be big, and it's going to expand very soon. But our most significant project currently is in North Darfur, in El Fasher. We are working in the catchment area of Wadi Al-Ku, which is a seasonal watershed, like a seasonal river. When it rains, the water comes, and this is when, in fact, the soil keeps the water and allows the farmers to produce the products. But sometimes, because of many erosion, etc., that water may not reach all around. So we work together with the farmers, with pastoralists, to identify where they want the water to spread and build together with them some sort of dams that distribute the rainwater when the water comes, which allows wider surface areas for agriculture.
And the area, the location of this project is where?
Wadi Al-Ku is just next to El Fasher.
Okay.
So the rain that hits Jabal Marra starts flowing and comes to this wadi, and in that wadi, with these structures, we try to spread the water and have more, sometimes even 3 harvests. So 4 or 5 months of harvest is possible with such interventions. But the most important thing is, in fact, to work with local communities and state level government to agree together what the problem is and what the solution could be. We don't go there with our solutions, but we define the problem and the solution together with the communities, which increase their ownership, understanding of the issues, and become successful and sustainable, in fact,
and
processes.
It's important if we could just make this, because agriculture is right now, it's the most secure way to survive in Sudan, and if we could just facilitate those kind of ways, especially that we are threats by food security problem in the next year. So if we could create opportunities, especially for agriculture, I think this is really important and very crucial in this time.
Definitely. And you know, the natural resources, water, these are key for the livelihoods, for agriculture and for food security. That's the role of UNEP in this picture, to also work with the communities to find the best way of managing their limited water resources for production, for their own use, for their animals' use. So far we are at the end of the second phase. There will be a third phase, and we are reaching more and more people, which is a big success, because when you see the change in the lives of people, not only the farmers, but creating jobs also for internally displaced people, these are really touching lives and gives us a big satisfaction. And our second project currently is in the Blue Nile state, which has different challenges as well. You know, I have to mention this. When there's a conflict, environment is also a victim of conflict. When environment is the victim of conflict, it affects the livelihoods of people. And very interestingly, and very, I think in a very important way, is the role of women in Sudanese culture and society in dealing with these challenges. We had a wonderful project before in North Kordofan, close to Al-Rahad, bringing women more actively in natural resources management, livelihoods, and decision-making about natural resources. We have the same model now in the Blue Nile state, working with local communities, small NGOs, bringing up what the important role of women in natural resource management and also peace building. We are not working only on ourselves. There's UN Women and UNDP also in the picture. So we are joining forces with sister agencies to have a wider impact.
This is fantastic, and actually, as you mentioned, women empowerment, and this is also all speak to me when I hear building capacity for women around Sudan. This is actually mean that we're creating leaders around Sudan, that we're creating people that could make difference in Sudan. And that also remind me that we are heading to 25th of November, which is the start of the 16 days of activism. And this is a good opportunity to mention that as we speak, very important days, and we're going to advocate to all the right of women and all gender-based violence related issues, and we're gonna speak about it, because it doesn't supposed to just be those 16 days. It's supposed to be the 12 months. So again, thank you so much for those projects. And related to what you said, that you are helping the people in Darfur maybe or in different areas in Sudan to manage the water, and it's also related to climate, you know.
True.
And how we could use the climate in our favor. So now I said the word climate. And climate change. And everyone in media is talking about climate change. And here in Sudan, many people, with all respect, some people say that it's just about pollution or maybe about cleaning streets. So no one could define what is the threat of climate change. Why is everyone going crazy about climate change? So
Yes, maybe it's the problem of all the climate change related news in social media
Yeah.
where they tag a polar bear next to climate change. So people think that this is the problem of somebody else
yes,
far away,
yes,
but we are all living in one planet. Whatever goes wrong on this planet affects us all, not only the humans, but the animals, the wildlife, the plants, everything. And it's been 5 years since I arrived. I personally observed more frequent floods. I personally observed longer days of extreme heat
in Sudan.
in Sudan.
So for everyone is listening to us right now, you might focus that sometimes the temperatures stay high for long weeks, not
Yes,
just 2 weeks or something, like for a month sometimes.
Just remember last May, we had 44, 45 plus degrees for maybe 3 weeks.
Yes,
So
I
it
remember.
wasn't like this even in the 5 years that I lived in Sudan.
Yes.
When you ask the elderly people, they also approve that this
Yeah.
wasn't like that before. And the frequency of the extreme rain is more and more.
Yeah, we didn't have storm like that before that actually could move cars from the street.
Exactly. And we are experiencing it in Sudan.
Yeah.
We are experiencing it in Germany. We experienced it in Pakistan. In
Yeah.
Pakistan, 1/3 of the country was flooded. So
We
these
saw that.
are
It was
new
sad,
things.
yeah.
So when we talk about climate change or global warming, it's
Yeah.
not only increasing temperatures. All the changes in the extreme weather events, all the changes we see in our daily lives, in different diseases that we start seeing, they are all linked to changing climate in the world, on the planet. But one thing is, climate was always changing, because some people say that hundreds of years ago there was also an ice age. It came back again, so it comes and goes. Yes, it's natural normally, but what we see in the last 100 years is more frequent and a dramatically increasing frequency of those
And I
changes.
think there is the human hands is there, because
Yes.
when we study about the ozone hole, like I was in the 5th grade or something like that. So it's already started by the hand of human.
Yes,
It wasn't there before.
True, yes, it is linked with the Industrial Revolution, the
Yeah.
use of fossil fuels more and more, emission of those gases. These are technical terms, but think about a greenhouse. When you enter into a greenhouse, which is this covered agricultural simple structure,
So it's like the glass house.
the
or-
glass houses,
Yes,
when
for
you
the
enter
people
into a
that-
glass house, you feel the heat and you feel also the humidity, because it traps the humidity and the
Yes.
heat inside. So it's the same for the planet now. What we do, we are turning the planet into a greenhouse, into
Yes.
a glass house. And that's
And
why
the global warming is
yes,
actually
it's coming. In some places you see warming, in some places you see some cooling, in some places you see more rains, less rains. But the thing is, you can't predict, you can't expect. It was 2019 when I visited Darfur in October. It was end of October and it rained. And I said, oh, wonderful, it's raining. They said, no, it shouldn't rain in October because it's going to be bad for our crops. They are going to rot in the field. So when you have such changes of climate, that has a huge impact on your livelihoods, on your economic income,
Yes,
on
and
your health.
we also, and I agree with you, if you see the floods right now in the Jazeera area, and it actually destroy many crops and plant there, so it's actually related. I could think so, and people will not actually have any project, because if the climate change keep increasing like that, things will be different, and the world.
Yes. But there are, of course, ways to cope with it.
Yeah.
Not easy, but
Yeah.
there are ways to adapt to those changes.
Yeah.
There are two approaches to cope with climate change. First, you need to reduce the gases that you emit.
Yeah.
Second, you need to adapt to the changes. And of course, there are scientific work that's been done for Sudan. Since 1960, the temperatures are increasing, average temperatures. So that is recorded, that's scientific. The increase in dry season is very dramatic. 20-30 millimeter less rainfall is coming, which is very bad for agriculture. The variability is changing, more extreme climatic events are coming. Even there is a rise in the Red Sea, about 10 to 20 centimeters. And that rise is not that there are more rivers bringing more water. No, when the ocean heats up, it expands. And if you have 10, 20 centimeters, it has many impacts on the corals, on fisheries, on your coastal infrastructure. So when you know about these things and when you have good early warning systems, then you can have some precautionary measures. So this is the entire story about climate change. And I always say that climate change is not an environment problem. It's a development problem. It's a life problem. So when we limit it with environment only, we really underestimate its importance and impacts.
Yes.
That's why climate change has to be part of national policies, development plans, and everything.
And this is, you said, a very important word, which is national policies. Many people here in Africa and maybe in Sudan thinks that there is a conspiracy theory, that the climate change is just happening in Europe or in America or maybe in Asia, but it doesn't have anything related to Africa, and Africa is the only place that will never be affected by climate change.
Well, that would be great, of course.
So they think that everyone will just run to Africa to stay here.
No, people should come to Africa. That's another story.
No, like you're gonna just come and occupy Africa as the final place to survive, because Africa is the only natural place in the world. So how we can answer the people that speak like that?
We are in one planet.
Yeah.
On the same planet. Anything happens will affect the entire planet. And the planet has experienced several mass extinctions where, for example, dinosaurs couldn't make it to the next round, just like the World Cup. Now we are in the elimination round. The humans may not make it to the second round. It depends on how we play the game.
Exactly. So this is very important, a very good way of explaining this.
When a team is eliminated, the rest of the tournament doesn't care. If humans are eliminated, the planet will not care. So it's about ourselves to survive. And if we want to really go to the second round, we have to treat the planet in the best possible way.
Yeah, and I think we could add another word. We need to unite.
That's true.
We need to find one way of that. We could find a mutual land that we all stand in, and we know that we all in the same boat.
We are all in the same boat. Environmental problems do not follow borders. Climate change doesn't need a visa.
And it doesn't have anything political. It doesn't have a dark agenda. It doesn't have anything. So whoever listens to us know that climate change is something that we need all around Sudan, not just in Sudan, in all Africa, in all the world. We need to be concerned about this, and we need to find way to advocate and actually create difference on the ground, even if it's just in your community. If you could raise awareness, if you could just find a way of communication with the people that could actually increases those kind. I know it's a big challenge, but every one of us, if they have a role to play.
Yes, no, definitely. Everyone has a role to play, but some have more responsibilities because also it is sometimes unfair to put a lot of responsibility on the countries like Sudan because Sudan doesn't have any fault in making the climate like this.
Yes.
But Sudan is one of the most affected countries by climate change and one of the least ready for adapting to climate change.
Oh my God.
So that's why, in fact, these international meetings are very important to take global action, also to help the nations who suffer more than the others, and also to make the big polluters pay. So that brings us, in fact, to the COP meeting.
Yes, and this is the next question. So everyone was listening to TV, watching something that happening in Egypt, in Sharm el-Sheikh recently. All the word was there, COP27. So those all are question mark for many Sudanese people. What is that? What's going on? Is it related to UN? Is it related to Security Council? What's going on there? So,
first a little maybe parenthesis. UN is United Nations. In fact, UN is the countries.
Yes.
It's not, for example, I'm a humble civil servant working for the UN.
Yes.
But the UN is, in fact, the countries.
Yes.
So that is why the countries meet in these meetings to decide on the future of the planet.
Yes.
And you know how it started? When humans realized that there's something going wrong about the environment, they started taking some actions. This is how, in fact, UNEP was founded in 1972. So we are 50 years old this year. So,
Wow.
so the countries started discussing the environmental problems, which brought them to the famous Rio meeting in 1992.
So the COP started in 1992.
In 1992, there were three conventions that came out. They are called the Rio Trio.
Okay.
So this Rio Trio is about biodiversity. So there's a global agreement on biodiversity. Second one is about desertification. There's a global agreement on combating desertification.
So desertification, for the people who are listening to us right now, it's about how the areas that was green become desert, just to explain it for the people. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the third one was about climate change.
Yeah.
So one of the Rio Trio is climate change. And COP is an acronym, COP, which means Conference of Parties.
Okay.
So it started in 1995. COP1 was in 1995 in Berlin. And every year, countries gathered to make sure that they talk about the future of the planet on climate change issues.
Okay.
There was only 1 year that COP wasn't able to be made. That's why it was supposed to be 28 this year, but it's 27.
Which
was because of the
COVID,
pandemic.
yes. Yeah.
Because
Of course, everything, the world all stops related to the pandemic, yes.
Yes. So the countries met in Egypt, in Sharm, to discuss about the future of the planet. According to the comments I heard from the colleagues who were there and reading the outcomes, people were not that much satisfied. Because there was a very important meeting in Paris in 2015 where the Paris Agreement came out, signed by all the countries, and they come up with some agreements to limit the increase of average temperature with 1.5 degrees, to provide funding for the greenhouse gas emissions and climate resilient development, and also increase the ability of the countries to adapt to climate change.
Yes.
So every year after 2015, there was an expectation that concrete steps will be taken. In fact, a very important step was taken this year, which is a fund for loss and damage. So in 2012, the COP in 2012 was in Qatar, just like the World Cup.
Yes.
Same times also, November. And in those days, there was a terrible storm in the Philippines. And the poor countries brought this issue of such a fund.
Yes.
It took 10 years.
Because they cannot just rebuild or
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. This year we had the Pakistan floods, 1/3 of the country underwater. So it's
Sudan
10 years.
floods we have
Sudan
here.
floods as well.
Yeah.
And it has to be more visible. I don't know. I mean, it didn't get enough attention like Pakistan, but it has to. But finally, after 10 years of the discussions, since the discussions started, this year the countries agreed on a loss and damage fund, which means there will be money. I think amount is going to be around $100 billion a year to finance the rebuilding of poorer and vulnerable countries that were hit by the increasingly severe climate impacts.
Wow, this is a big step.
And these countries made a little for the cause of climate change. This means the nations, the countries, acknowledge the moral responsibility of the big polluters, big industrialized countries, and ask them to contribute to climate emergency. This is an important outcome.
And it's very important, very impressive, because we need those kind of action, and it's not enough, by the way, because it's not about handling the damage. We want to stop the damage from the start. So let's go for the second break, and when we come back, we'll still carry on this.
I'll remember where I left.
Yes, just keep the thought, and let's go for the second break. So we are back again in our final segment, and because we are running out of time, I don't want to go in details and just keep pushing you again. But again, I'm your host Marwa Khalid, and I have with me a very important guest that I'm sad that this is the final segment with him. It's head of UN Environment here in Khartoum, Mr. Atila Uras. Happy to have you again in Biladi FM, and let's have a chat. And before I start, I actually want to plug this book because I received it as a gift, which is Sudan, First State of Environment and Outlook report of 2020.
Yes,
This
it
book
is,
is actually a gift for me, and I'm taking it as a souvenir. Unless you're gonna
Of
take
course.
it back. I
No,
want
it's
it.
yours.
So yeah, so this book, you're gonna find it have every information you need about the environment and what's report been written, I guess, until 2020. So if you want to find it online, you could find it in UN Environment.
Yes, it's unep.org/Sudan website, has both the English and also the Arabic versions of
Yeah,
the
so
report
you could find it in Arabic as well to
Yes.
read more about what the environment of Sudan and what's going on in Sudan. So please make sure to read this book if you are interested to know more about what's going on here in Sudan. So, and there is so beautiful picture. He's about the pyramids and Bijrawiya and beautiful ladies and Fula Sudani, and it's a very interesting book. So please make sure to just go and take a look at this book. And me myself, I'm gonna look at it because everything about my country, I always love it and just proud of it.
And one thing to add about the report, it is not written by foreign experts. The entire book is totally produced by Sudanese experts.
Wow.
So many of them. So that is Sudan's report that belongs to Sudan. And from Sudan, it's in fact like a gift to the entire region to make use of it.
So we thank all the experts that actually contribute in this book. And thank you for giving us a gift to our country from people from our country.
Indeed.
So thank you so much.
No, we are too proud of being part of it.
Yeah, now you are a Sudanese, by the way. You cannot consider yourself now.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, you're a Sudanese. Seven, do you speak some Arabic?
There are many common words in Turkish, so I follow the discussions, but I can't get into intellectual discussions.
But
in
you
Arabic.
can just communicate somehow if you are in
You learn
a
it, yes.
store, in a shop or
Yes,
something.
yes. But I mean, also I think your education is very good. I mean, many people speak English. It's very easy to communicate.
Yes, you can find many. I'm impressed that many Sudanese speak
Yes,
English, and by the way, they do understand you even if they don't speak it.
Yes, yes.
I know that the engineer Shihab, by the way, hi to him. He's helping me today, so saying thank you for doing this episode. He understands totally everything I say here in the episode, but sometimes they say that I cannot just speak about it.
Yes, yes.
So because we are running out of time and we
Yeah.
want to handle the time, we're still talking about the COP27, and you still have a very important line you want to say.
Indeed, yes. Well, I mean, it is coming out of COP as well. So when we are taking the action to address climate change, respect, promote, and consider the respective obligations on human rights.
Mm-hmm.
The right to clean and healthy and sustainable environment is key. And that is in fact linked to a UN General Assembly decision last July that a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment is a human right, a right for all, not just a privilege for some. So this is very crucial because we have to respect the environment as we respect human beings.
Yes.
Because it is the source of our presence, our species' presence on the
Yes.
planet. And we haven't treated the planet well so far. But from now on, we have to treat it in a better way
Yes.
so that it will allow us to exist on this
Yes.
planet.
Start from just photosynthesis. Just start from there, and how oxygen been created, and how everything, and we study that since the first grade or the second grade, and how plant and everything related to nature is important for our existence.
Very true. Very
Yeah.
true. We are special species
Yeah.
with intellectual capacity. So as we have a brain to use, let's use it in the best possible way.
Yes,
not damage
and
this
we
planet.
are part of a big system. We are not the system. We are part
Very
of
true.
this system. So we need to make sure that this system is sustained and is there for the people and to help us to survive and to keep this world for the next generation,
Yes,
right?
yes. And UNEP Sudan is very much ready and very much enjoying and being proud of working with Sudanese communities, agencies, institutions, ministries, the people of Darfur, Blue Nile, Red Sea, North, all the people of Sudan. We are here to help and proud to be here to help.
I'm glad, Mr. Atila, that you are here today because me, myself, today, I learned more about environment and I learned more about how I can protect it and how I could use that in media in order to advocate more for environment and climate change and how we could protect Sudan and then the world. And of course, we are part of the world. So, Mr. Atila, if you want to add something, because I know that we have less than 3 minutes now. If you want to add something, if we miss anything we didn't say in this episode, the mic is yours.
Well, we said so many things, but as you said, I mean, we are in one planet. Nobody has any sort of additional privileges. We have to take it very seriously. But Sudan is a very strong country, a very resilient country, who had seen many challenges.
Yeah.
Conflict or droughts or floods.
Yeah.
You know how to stand up.
We are survivors, yes.
We are here to help you stand up and stay more firm and for the future of this country.
Yeah, and Let's Have a Chat is the place that you come to for bridging more and consider yourself as a friend and a family for this program, because the idea is that we create this land that we all speak the same languages, we all have the same concern. So this is what we want to advocate, and this is what we want to give it to you back from this program, to your organization and to your country and to all the people who are listening to us in Sudan and outside Sudan.
Thank you. And thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. Because it's a camera. So I'm your host Marwa Khalid, and I hope you're still enjoying the game. And this is Let's Have a Chat, and I'm gonna say now goodbye.